Hello, and welcome to this episode of Things That Matter with me, Martie McNabb. As you know by now, I love hearing the stories about the things that matter, the things that we keep, the things we surround ourselves with. These, I believe, are really our story, part of our life story, and part of our legacy. In essence, our homes are our personal museums. So, this is why I'm so fascinated with them. So today's guest is Karin Edgett. Did I get that right this time?
It's Edgett, but that's okay. It's
Ed
close.
Edgett.
Yeah, like edge with a T, two T's on edge with a flourish on the
Oh
end.
yes,
Edgett.
edge with a flourish on the end. That's perfect for you. So I met Karen through, of course, the lovely Noemi Bears, who you've heard about before. She has podcast connections, and she has connected me with some wonderful, wonderful guests for my podcast over the last probably year, maybe year and a half. And it has taken me a while to reach out and schedule this time to interview Karen, but I'm glad that we were able to finally make it happen this morning. So, as you know, this part of the episode is all about the show and tell section. And so I am going to turn over the spotlight or the stage to Karen to share the thing that she brought and tell us the story of it.
Hi, everybody, and thank you, Marty. That was a lovely introduction. I I've had a long, strange, winding path to get to where I am. Started out in the advertising industry because I was always interested in communication graphics, but I think my love was always art. So you see in the background is my art. Um, and you'll notice if I'm pointing right, that little symbol right there, that symbol is here on my necklace. I had a friend of mine make that for me. And it's basically, it's kind of like a ankh that's alive and moving and part of, this uh is come to life. And I've worked a lot with symbols that come to life. Like over there, you'll see a painting of infinities. I have, or somewhere in the background too, I have like a million paintings of infinities because I was called to unleash those symbols. And this other little bauble I have that wanted to be with me today is it's a Baroque pearl, black pearl from Morea that I found. And it has what they call a whale eye in it. Because I was out in Morea earlier, or at the end of last year, swimming with the whales, and the black pearls come from that area, that region. And I met a pearl man, and he strung it for me, and I just, I don't know, it has a little bit of life and a little bit of remembrance of such a beautiful island and the whales. One of the baby whales came up so close to me. The eyes was this, it literally reminds me of that scene where the eye is like this close to me, and I'm like just blown away by the wisdom and the magic of this even baby animal. It's like so, and it was, so playful and curious, and it was fun. I thought I might be scared because they're so big, but we weren't making them mad, so there was nothing to be scared of. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And
Oh,
yeah, so I work a lot with symbols and I work a lot with energy. And so something that's a lot of energy or has energy that I feel like needs to be released or um, set free or noticed. Um, sometimes I'm drawn to that. I brought with me a whole bunch of stuff, as Marty and I were talking about earlier, and she's like, "No, you can't show all that. That'd be too much."
but I,
But I do have
I did want to ask a question,
yeah, go
so
ahead.
or point out. So with the what I find fascinating with, and I didn't, this is a little sneak thing that I'm asking, but you talked about the symbol in your necklace and about the uh, infinity symbol that you need to open or let come into the world. And I'm thinking about that symbol that you have, and it's basically like an infinity symbol, but then it's opened up at the bottom. It's
Yeah, it's actually kind of it's opened up at the bottom, but it's also like a little bit like an ankh. I don't know if you're familiar with an ankh, but an ankh usually has one stem at the bottom, and then and this ankh is a symbol of life, and the infinity is a symbol of the infinity is this it's a symbol of potentiality, eh, with no structure to it. And I always find that we kind of take it by for granted that there's structure to life. Um, and that's what's driven us in the last couple of decades, not decades, centuries, or maybe even a couple thousand years, to create more and more structure around life. And, you know, and with that comes safety, but with that also comes a loss of freedom. And as we're like moving into this complete embracing of the quantum physics, out of the Newtonian physics and into the quantum physics, not that we leave all of Newtonian behind, but we're adding this whole layer of physics that really explains that everything is energy, and the containers and the structure can serve us, but all creation of new stuff is in the reordering of that energy. And it's done through our hearts. Nobody really creates something without passion. And so I feel like the work I do with my paintings and the work I do with the flowers and stuff and these symbols is all about freeing up a more feminine energy, freeing up life, freeing up creation. And my idea is to, you know, to, when I'm surrounded by my own paintings, I don't know what other people feel, but when I'm surrounded by my own feelings, the energy in them is like swirling around me and reminding me every day that, anything is possible and everything is possible. And sometimes that can be a little overwhelming and you run back to some structure. You're like, oh, let me drive my car today just so I know there's like structure out there. But the idea is, to just allow allow freedom of the heart more. And I don't know how, as the world becomes more controlled, you, you know, really understand that the freedom to work within that structure and step outside of it and recreate that structure has to be through the heart, and it has to be through this idea that you contain as much potential as anybody really, and it all comes through your heart. And some people do it individually and some people do it, in mass, in groups and community. And but the energy of that shift is what these infinities are unleashing, and the same with my flowers are unleashing it. The flowers are more of a all I do is photograph what's happening in the flowers. They just do it. They're like free of karma. They don't carry any history because they're not like a tree that remembers the last 100 years, or people or animals that have, memories in prior lives. They're just like, here's what the earth and the sun have to say to you today. And it's new energy, it's fresh, and it's,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
it's
it's
really
wonderful.
I
Yeah.
was I
Yes.
was going to
So
show this one.
I,
I don't know if we can see it, but I was going to show this one. This is a peony flower on front of one of my books, but there's a portal there that always fascinates me. I'm like, can we like it's in that big one behind me too, but I'm like, can we dive into that and find out what galaxies and universes exist down there?
right. Oh my goodness. Yes. So I love the idea of freeing up this energy, and that we had spoken before we recorded this about my friends in the multi-potentialite community, that you're just, I love the idea of that balance between just constant the creativity part of life and less structure, and then the like structure. It's certainly a balance for me. And I think a lot of people, especially, like I said, my multi-potentialite friends. So it's amazing to see all that you create. And Noemi also is an artist and a creative too, in addition to other things, many other things. So you know that one of my questions, and we're going to focus on your necklaces, or your symbols there, because I found it fascinating that the pearl ended up saying, "I want to be a part of this," because it was
Okay.
underneath your sweater, and then you said, I'm feeling this call. It wants to." So it kind of presented itself. So, but the question is, have you considered this is my standard question about legacy. Have you considered what you would like to have happen with this thing when you're dead and gone?
The pearl?
Or the symbol, it could be because you
Oh, the symbol.
do both.
Well, um, I feel like the symbol, when it's seen, is already doing its work. And even just by painting it and being out there is already doing its work. So my legacy, if I had to say, my legacy is already working and
Mhm.
it's already in progress. Just connecting with the spirituality of the world in a different way. It's a living legacy. If I should croak and well, I should probably say when. But if I should croak, I guess I would feel like whoever owns or gets my collection of art or owns a piece or has a book or, you know, they understand um that that made the shift, that's making a shift, and it maybe, 100 years, none of this stuff will be relevant because everybody will have shifted already. It
Mhm.
takes time. We can't all shift at once. Or can we? But usually what happens is it's like you start to shift and you see your friends aren't really shifting. And so you gotta like give them a little space and then you meet some other friends that are shifting more, and we don't always move and shift and shape or reshape our lives at the same speed as
Okay.
as other people. And so you
Yeah.
can't cling to things, So even though I'd say, oh, I'd like my art to like live on and be appreciated and continue to, and if it is, it continues to do its work.
Right.
But I also
We're
know that,
always living our legacy. Yeah. People always think of, legacy is, they think about people, money, real estate, or the important people that their things make it into museums or historical societies. But every single one of us is creating a legacy every day. Right. So,
well, I think we're definitely all in this together. There is a collective energy that's happening, and if um you can't get away from that. And I always, I try to say to people and myself in the mirror every day, your energy matters, and what are you doing? Are you expanding or are you contracting?
mm,
We can't always expand because we're human. Humans do all kinds of things. But, if you wake up in the day and you set your goal, like, how am I going to expand my energy? How am I going to make this world better? Knowing that it affects everything.
mhm,
It doesn't matter if you're just going to work to be, a janitor. You can carry an energy of transformation or expansion with you. I mean, it doesn't matter really what you do.
mhm,
Um, or you can carry an energy of contraction with you. And that goes for all your thoughts. The
mhm,
second you become judgmental or dualistic, you're sort of going into a contractive space. And, for me, like working with the infinity shape, was allowing for a contraction, but not allowing for it to get stuck there.
Oh, right.
And a lot of the infinity shapes, I don't know if you can see them properly, but
Mhm. Pretty
they
well.
have
Yep.
they have wings, so they take flight. Oh, there's
Uh,
something there. So
yep.
they're taking flight and they're like flying and they're having fun. And they're using
We
those
need more of
points
that.
to yeah, they're using those points more like a break and more like to, but they're going back into this feminine form of, you know, creation and recreation and creation
Yeah.
and recreation. And it's really important to for me, that's my legacy, and
Yeah.
if it continues till it's not needed anymore and everybody's free flowing between structure and creation versus overly focused on structure, then I'll be like, I won't reincarnate. I'll be like, woohoo! If people
Well,
don't get
that's
there, I may come back and continue to work on it. And that
there
might be
you
my legacy is my next life.
there you go. Well, I think that's a perfect a segue into. So this is the part where I give you a chance, a few minutes to let my listeners know how they can reach you, like how they can find out more about, like you said, you've got many things that you're doing and that you're creating, and that it's wonderful. Please let my listeners know and my watchers know how they can find out more about you. I'm going to give you the stage again, so
Okay,
go
thanks.
for it.
Well, I have a website. It's my name, KarinEdgett.com, and I spell my name the way my mom and dad spelled it, Karin, Karin Edgett, Edgett. But she'll put that on the podcast stuff.
Yeah.
And there you can find my, what's the word you used?
Multi-potentialite.
My multi-potentialite self expressing in different ways. You can find my oracle cards that use botanical wisdom that are kind of cool, and they have messages that are really quite helpful and transformative. You can find my more spiritual recipes and how to like open up your channels to connect. And I just put a little book out on dressings that you can use on almost anything to you know, raise the vibration of your food.
Yeah.
And you can find my art and my books there too, like these little books, and a lot of other books on flower magic. This one's called Tatting Light about the Queen Anne's lace.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
and
wow.
in reforming light around you. And they're all just very lighthearted, spiritual words and images. Most of them have been channeled, from the paintings will give me the words that they want to be associated with them, and a lot of those words are little poems or haikus that are written into books and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Those
anyway, you can find me there. You can contact me from there, and if you
wonderful.
want to get on board with my more spiritual journey, just join up for my newsletter.
Yeah.
And I
And
have
you also have a podcast.
Well, the podcast is on pause right now, so I
Okay.
hate to like tell people to go there. I did just complete 40 episodes of a podcast on channeling different things. You can look it up. It's realm2realm.com, but I don't know if it's going to be continued or not because my partner has gone off and is doing something else now. Um,
But that's
but I'm
still
thinking
40
about it.
episodes. 40 episodes is a lot. So
It
that's,
is a lot, and
yeah.
they're really fun conversations. Some of them. We talk with the dolphins and the whales, and we talk with
Yeah.
um, gnomes and fairies, and there's a lot of really good ones in there. In fact,
Yeah.
there's one on my art fairies that help
Ooh,
me co-create.
wonderful. Yeah. So, I mean, it's there for now. So when this goes
It'll
live,
be up. We're not taking it down.
yeah.
We're just not creating new ones at the moment,
Yeah. But
which we
there's
may come
40
back
that
to.
you can listen to.
That's true. Actually, two of them haven't been published yet, so there's
Oh,
probably 38 up there. So I'm just thinking about publishing those. When she left, I was like, all the work fell on me, and I'm like,
I know what that's like.
yeah.
All
And
right.
So thank you, Marty. Thank you for
Yeah,
this opportunity to talk to you and your followers and
yeah,
um,
yeah. A pleasure
just
meeting you.
yeah, and just for everybody, just drop into your heart as much as you can. Feel that ebb and flow of life and
I think that we both do, and that's why Naomi ended up thinking we needed to connect, is that we both do similar work about building connections and community and legacy.
yeah,
We just do it a little bit differently. So,
we're
which is
all in here for our own expression, right?
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Things That Matter with Martie McNabb. If you have a church, a synagogue, a temple, a nonprofit, a corporation, a club or community that you're looking to build deeper connections between the people in it, so that they can do better work in the world, um, consider reaching out to me for me to create a special story sharing gathering for your volunteers and donors and employees and team and everything. Because what I've found over a decade of hosting these story sharing events about things that matter, is that it opens up this, like those flowers do. It opens up this little entryway into the other person's life, and it works its own magic of building deeper connections and not feeling so isolated and lonely. And yeah, just looking into one another's lives, having a little peek inside. So I hope you enjoyed this little peek inside Karen's life. And I encourage you to think about what you surround yourself with and what stories these things could tell about you. So thanks again, everyone, for listening to this episode of Things That Matter. And thank you, Karen, for joining me.
All right. Thank you, Marty. Thank you for your time. Thank you for including me in your things that matter.